Pokemon Journeys have just announced the Masters 8 trainers that will be competing in the final tournament to decide the world champion for this season. So today we're going to be discussing this tournament, what matches I want to see, and ultimately how I think this tournament is going to pan out as a whole. So let's get into this and I hope you enjoy. So I think it's safe to say this is the biggest tournament in the Pokemon anime's very long history. From the moment Journey started, I did wonder what the final Pokemon League style tournament would look like, and I think if you showed anyone these top 8 trainers at the start of Journeys, they would tell you that you're crazy. Looking at this all-star lineup, I'm still in disbelief that this is actually happening. Pokemon Journeys went for it and I respect them so much for doing this. Despite the rocky journey we had along the way to get here, this final tournament is going to be one of the biggest and greatest things we've ever seen in this anime. The only way they could top the masterpiece that was the Alola League is to bring in these absolute powerhouse trainers, and there's a big chance that this does surpass it. In every region we're used to these rather small scale tournaments. We never had the Elite 4 level trainers compete in tournaments, so we'd have people like John Dixon winning the Johto League or Virgil winning the Unova League. It never really felt big, but now we can finally say this is huge. We have Ash representing his home Kanto and also representing Alola as their first ever champion. We have Iris, the inspiring Dragon Master who worked her way up to the Unova champion. We have Alain, the winner of the Kalos League, who has ties to 3 other trainers on this list. We have Diantha, the Kalos champion, who has been shown to be very strong in the XY series. Lance, who is the longest running champion on the list, being the champion of both Kanto and Johto, someone we've all wanted to see in action for so long, since the days of knowing him just as a Pokemon G-Man. We have Steven Stone, my personal favourite champion, reigning from Hoenn, flexing on everyone with his shiny Mega Metagross. He also has ties to quite a few trainers on this list. We then have Cynthia, probably deserving of her second spot here, as she is known as one of the most powerful champions coming from Sinnoh. And then finally Leon, an amazingly portrayed character from Sword and Shield. I'm so glad that he is headlining this series. He deserves it and he will take some beating. So with this lineup of all-stars, you really can't go wrong with this tournament. The matches are confirmed to be a 3-on-3, so you can guess we'll see every single battle in this bracket. They could probably get this tournament wrapped up in around 11 or 12 episodes if they really want to dive into every battle, which they have to. The only way this tournament disappoints me is if we skip over battles. These trainers are so important to the world, we can't skip even one battle. Maybe some battles are shorter than others depending on importance, which I'm fine with, but we need to see every battle here to make this as big and as grand scheme as it should be. I'm not bothered about them only being 3-on-3 and not 6-on-6. This, in my opinion, like the Alola League, gives more time to flesh out individual battles and show personalities for each trainer, rather than just focusing on battling. And then there's one gimmick allowed in each battle, so you can bet we're going to be seeing all sorts of Z moves, Megas, Gigantamaxes. It's so exciting that Pokemon Journeys is bringing all 3 of these together in one place, something the games could never do. So now that we've got the tournament set up and preview all explained, let's talk about the actual matchups. We're going to be going through every single bracket prediction, how I think the tournament is going to go, and who's going to win each match. So at this moment in time, we don't actually know if this is a bracket tournament or a round robin. A round robin would be so cool as you'd get to see everyone facing everyone. But I think that would just take way too long, and seeing as every other tournament has been a bracket tournament, I'm going to guess this one will be too. So here are the quarterfinal predictions. First up we have Ash versus Lance. It's looking likely that this battle is going to happen, and I have been the biggest supporter of this battle since Journey's begun. Ash has ties to Lance all the way back to Johto, and seeing them face off would be incredible. The only downside is that Ash has already faced a few dragon type trainers in Journeys like Iris and Raihan, so that's what made me think this battle might not happen. But if we forget all that and just focus on what it means for Ash, being from Kanto, going up against the OG champion of Kanto and Johto, it would be a huge development moment for his character, and I'd love to see it. A parallel matchup to Ash versus Lance is Alain versus Steven. They have similar ties going back quite far. Alain has a quite close connection with him, tying back into the Mega Evolution specials. So I'd love to see a showdown between his Mega Charizard and Steven's Mega Metagross. And beating Steven would really show how far Alain has come, how much stronger he's gotten, and it would set up his semi-final match so nicely. Next up we have Cynthia versus Diantha, a huge clash between it, 2 of the strongest women in Pokemon anime, and I think in the end Cynthia would take this one, but it would be a very close battle. Both of them would push each other to the limits. It would be interesting to see what sort of teams they both use. Of course, we know Diantha will be using her Mega Gardevoir, But as for Cynthia, will she be Mega Evolving her Garchomp, or will she opt for a different gimmick? I think it could just make a really interesting battle and dynamic, and I'd love to see it. And the fourth and final matchup is Iris versus Leon. I see a lot of predictions that Iris will battle against Ash again, and I can't see it. Again, like I said with Lance, Ash has already battled a lot of Dragon type trainers in this series, including already having a battle with Iris herself. I think they could be with each other for the tournament and act as companions again while the draw is being made, but I can't see them battling again. I can also imagine Ash's reaction when Iris gets drawn out against Leon, a reaction of worry and tension for his friend. And then when Iris does lose to Leon, this could act as a lesson for Ash that Leon really is the real deal. And this lesson coming through his friend Iris would add a lot of depth to this arc, so Leon beats Iris and wins this battle. So now on to the semi-finals of this tournament, and the 4 trainers we have left are all incredibly strong. The first matchup is Cynthia versus Leon. I've been calling for this matchup for so long. In my opinion, these two are the strongest champions to ever exist, and it shows with their number 1 and number 2 rankings, so it only makes sense to put them up against each other. Of course, many of us wanted to see Ash take on Cynthia, but there is a big chance that he loses that battle, and having him take on her in the semis and Leon in the final might be a bit too much for him. But seeing Leon beat Cynthia would just add to his development and just show how strong he actually is, and set up the final battle of Ash in the perfect way possible. And then the second match, we have Ash versus Alain. This battle is probably the only one that I'm 100% confident will happen. Alain is here for a reason, and that is because Ash never beat the guy. Alain is here so Ash can finally get the win that he didn't get in the Kalos League. There's a reason they didn't bring back Paul, that's because Ash has already beat him. Obviously, forgetting the schmucks like Cameron and Tyson, the most important rivals for Ash were Gary, Paul and Alain. And Alain was the only one that Ash couldn't beat, so this matchup is going to happen, and I believe Ash will win this battle, taking him to the final against Leon. And then that brings us to the final battle, which will be Ash versus Leon. I think this is another one that is pretty certain to happen. However they both work their way to get here, this is inevitably where they both end up, and I don't know how this is going to go. This is the most up in the air a final league battle has ever been, I think. If Ash loses, then his journey probably continues into the next PWC season, and then if he wins, who knows? There are just so many questions regarding the future of the Pokemon anime, but it's really exciting. There's so many places we could go with this. I'm not going to go into depth about my predictions for Ash vs Leon because I've already made a whole video about this, so be sure to check that out. But right now I'm leaning more towards Ash winning this competition and becoming the world champion. Something that would just be amazing to see for all of us that have followed him for over 25 years. So that is it for the Masters 8 tournament predictions. Make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more videos about predictions regarding the Masters 8, because Pokemon Journeys is only going to keep blowing up from here on out, and there's going to be so much to talk about. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button for more. But that's it for this one, and I will see you next time.